Alright, folks, welcome back, everyone. 皆さん、おかえりなさい。今日は172日目です。It is day 172. Looks like we have a few. Wait, as we have 2 grammar points on the queue, we'll do some reading grammar input today. As we close out the month of June, it'll largely going to be like reading grammar, trying to work on thinking in my head for the moment, like diagramming the grammar in some way. I'm kind of like slowly thinking about how to shorthand the stuff. That'll be kind of a mental exercise in the future. And then we'll be going into July, which is going to be the vocab, the N4 vocab practice month. So the original plan was a 3-month cycle. Out of breath. Yeah, because I work out between it. I alternate. Today I was doing hanging leg raises before I came back. I'm always doing exercises in between. Literally. Alright, so yeah, we're gonna move into the 4th month. And I think there's gonna be a period where probably just gonna extend because it's a little weird. I got it set up in my house. I have one of those cages, so not like a power cage, but just if you look at the side profile, it'll look like this. So something like this. And then if you look at the front profile, oops. Right, it'll look like this. So, right, pull-ups, dips, and then elevated push-ups, right? This is to, oh no, it's actually not attached that way. Attached this way. So, one of these. Very reliable one I've been using for years. So, your standard 3, right? The reason why I use elevated handles, so the handles will look like this, more or less. And then I don't know if they're connected. They're not connected across. Yeah. So to do the standard 3, and then I have a set of these. You've probably seen these too, right? From this profile, and then they're basically just this. And there's 2 of them, right? 2 of them. And those are for the horizontal rows. And those are the foundations of calisthenics. Your horizontal row, your pull-ups, your dips, and your deep, well, I do deep push-ups where you go past your shoulder point now. And then obviously you add squats, right? Your squat variant. And then you have your L-sit, which you can do basically on any of these. You can hang and do an L-sit. You can be on your dip, L-sit, on parallettes, L-sit, right? And these, you can L-sit anywhere on these. And those are your basics, you know? And I alternate between the days and whatnot. It's how I feel. It's to stretch out the body in between sessions. Sometimes I do sit-ups, sometimes I deep squat, lunges. So for calisthenic lower leg basics, would be lunges, deep squats, or pistol squats. Right, deep squats, pistol squats, horseback stance. There is a small staircase right outside my door, so I use the staircase to do elevated calf raises. So you just stand at the edge of a staircase and lower your heel down in air, right? And then you just do calf raises on the ball of your feet only. That's the same as what most people do, is they take like a weight and then put their foot right here. So you would lower slowly your foot down, and then you would have the ground to support it. But my stairs are like this high, so you just support yourself in air and then move your foot up to do the calf raise, right? And then there are like, it's low to the ceiling, so I just make sure if I'm falling backwards or something, you just stabilize with touching the top. These are your typical, all your joint, your full body calisthenics to cover your maintenance. I'm not doing any of this for performance. We stick to our roughly 8 to 10 pull-ups, 8 to 10 8 to 10 of must something. One day maybe I'll do something else. I thought about getting a vest, like a weighted vest. That would be kind of neat. Other than that, I think the thing that I really want to do is a weighted jump rope. Weighted jump rope sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah. Weighted jump ropes are neat. Hello there, Mock. Oh, by the way, Mock is Mock is the person I've been talking to the last 2 days in Discord, if you were reading Discord drama. Mock is Polish. Normal jump rope already killing you. Yeah, I have a pair of like really like this jump rope from like 2 or 3 years ago that's hanging in the garage. I like the idea of weighted jump rope because you don't have to jump the rope too. You can like just fling the rope around. I forgot what it's called. Hang on. There's a name for this. It's not the same thing as the battle rope thing where you like, find a stationary thing, but you can if you want. It's more like there was a name for it, but you jump rope and you like swing the rope around, which sounds like fun because you just swing the rope around. Get yourself going pretty good. Yeah, jump rope is nice. I used to jump rope because I can't run around late at night, so usually you just find jump rope, go to the lowest floor and jump some rope. It's pretty nice. I like that there's progression to jumping rope. To be honest, never considered before. Yeah, there is progression. And since I come from a calisthenic background, pretty much anything doing with your body, you kind of understand the biomechanics, so you can make any form of body movement into a progression. Like the calisthenics produces the intuition and foundation for changing all your progression. Like, for example, the obvious one would be when someone thinks of jumping rope, you jump with 2 legs, 2 feet. Jump with 1. Jump with 1 extended. Jump with 1 bent. Like your way you land, the way you exert, jump off the ground, like the height difference. You can jump up to something and back down to something. So That's the type of thing that over time, once you like get the basic foundations of calisthenics, anything you're doing with your body, you'll probably figure out what the progression is. Um, be it changing the weight, the momentum, or the shifting of your balance, and etc. Like, for example, a jump rope, you could do squat jumps while jump roping. That would be, it would take a bit of coordination, but you start with like standard squats, then do pyloric squats, then do arm motions while squatting, and then you pick up the jump rope and then you do that motion. So you can continue to work on your skills. Not that those skills are like, I don't expect anyone to like try to do a squat into a jump lift and then like swing something at the same time, but generally speaking, you could still do a pop squat into an extended move to grab something, like, you know, jump and try to grab something and whatnot. So um those are things you can become very obvious. Like, I saw someone doing like pistol jumping, like pistol squat jumping with ropes. That just blows my mind. It hurts my knees looking at it. Obviously, when you prepare your body for it, it wouldn't be it would be like a routine thing for them. Yeah, it's interesting the things you can do when you spend time with your coordination. All right, let's get, wait, 6 minutes until the other 7, maybe the other 4, 5. Oh. All right, so let's do these 2 and then we'll do some casual reading. ごめんね。一緒に映画館に行ける negative. Oh, as a reason. Wait. Negative. Wait. Oops. Could you try another way of conjugating the structure? Wait. Hold. Another way to conjugate the structure. Or using reason. Oh, casual. Wait. Oh, that's fine. Huh. I guess that's screaming more like without doing, so that's not that great. Or not past tense. Huh. It says because. Don't understand. I don't understand. Probably we're gonna add a different ending, right? So probably going to add cute. God? Shall you give me a hint? No. It's like
ごめんね。一緒に映画館に行けなくて。
okay. So how does this contrast between ないで and なくて are both, but with different uses? ないで is used, right? Never request or mean without doing. Oh. Oh. Right, because one's imperative, negation of imperative. And then we have a standard Tay form. Meaning of 9. Often used when a phrase comes before. I want to know. Oh, it's 9, it's conjugated form. And then the other one is 9, it's in its imperative form. Right, auxiliary verb 9 and the particle de. Why don't Alright. Okay. So 忘れ物を見つける。Past tense in past tense transitive. Okay. So 見つけた。
忘れ物を見つけた。忘れ物が見つかった。
見つかった。Oh, that's just showing the two examples. 関係者 exclusive with the exception. 相手はいけないと聞いてあるよ。No. 書いてあるよ。With the exception, it's just 意外。
関係者以外入ってはいけないと書いてあるよ。
昨日もっと時間が欲しかった。
昨日もっと時間が欲しかった。
ここで働きたいから、いい、いいね。let's say, フレクション No, リレクション。リレクションを書く。volitional。
ここで働きたいからいい履歴書を書こう。
試験官。皆さん、record。録音が、はっきり。録音がはっきり。Hear? かHear. Like able to hear? Oh, I need to.
"試験官、
I like.
皆さん、録音がはっきり聞こえますか?"
Interesting questions you have. Alright, let's do 5 read exercises. Let's just dump it in. Let's see. I'm actually kind of curious if this is random. So far, I've seen repeats quite often, so go through here. Alright.
乾杯と言わないで飲み出した。
To begin to do something. Or suddenly begin. The nuance is the sudden begin.
明日試合があるので今夜よく寝るように言った。
It is said that, or mean, to mean something in such a way, be told, or in such a way. Does this have a nuance that I must? I don't think so. Order such a way. We'll see. Oh, okay. Tell someone else. Okay. So, wait. So this one... Yonyu means to tell or ask somebody to do something. Often used for indirect or general requests. For example, when paired with tehoshi, it shows a desire for something. Okay. I mean, that's fair enough. It's red. It's distinguishable.
友達は私のケーキを食べてしまった。
This is doing like without the intent of doing. So just finishing off, but not like desirably so. Like it's an unfortunate consequence. Not planned to. In this case is to eat, rest. Totally.
もし風邪だったら明日仕事を休んでください。
explaining why. It's a condition. It's an emphasized condition. Got a cold and have to explain why they have to take off from work.
いい匂いがするコーヒーを入れてくれてありがとうございます。
I felt like that felt like there should be a breath somewhere here. Irete is... So thanks, super thanks. Like just thanks for doing something. Typically for the person that's speaking.
いい匂いがするコーヒーを入れてくれてありがとうございます。
I guess this feels like it should run together.
「この教科書はとても難しそうです。
The likeness. It's the likeness of difficulty. Like seems difficult. That's adding soul and then using the stem of the E adjective. Or I guess not really the stem, but I kind of view it as stem by dropping the E. It's the nasa that rough. Okay.
喋りすぎてすみません。
Sumimasen. Apologize for doing something. But in this case, it's actually a compound thing. We got the sugiru as well on top of that. Neat. Very neat to see.
彼は全然日本語ができないと言ってもいい。
This is normalization. No normalization. It's saying if it's alright, and it could say, like, it's okay to say. It's okay to say. I can't speak a word of Japanese. Might say.
英語でも日本語でも中国語でも喋れる彼がすごいと思う。
The three languages, kind of a funny relationship between them, but it's whether or not, like whether it's English or Japanese or Chinese, you speak those languages is amazing. I would say Sugoine has a analogous thing in Chinese. What was it? And it's not typically taught actually early in the beginning. 不是太好. 刚好. No, not 刚好. That's normal stuff. It's like oh no, I forgot it. 太利, no. 太利, no. It's like really powerful. It's basically a combination of it's basically sugoine. I forgot what it says. Kids say these all the time. Like the kids always respond with it, and I forgot what it is. You hear it, but I don't usually say things like that. Maku, what's your plan after finishing Wanikani? Some new routine on stream or less structured work from then? For Wanikani ends up being a reference. I already covered it in the 500-day review, but Wanikani is serving as a reference. Like the routine is already met, where Wanikani is serving as a reference material for Bunpro. So it'll simply not be recorded, but I'll still be using wanikani as I'm looking at Bunpro material. So I'm cross-referencing with wanikani every time I'm using Bunpro, especially with the vocabulary. So it's going to be largely the vocabulary. The vocabulary routine for Bunpro is wanikani integrated. For the grammar stuff, on occasion there will be a wanikani thing. So the occasions would be like this thing. Gotoni is a wanikani thing. So I think gotoni is in wanikani. It might not be, possibly. So like tamani. Oh no, gotoni. Pretty sure gotoni is in wanikani. So those types of words, like terms, they don't have any context other than the example sentences. So whenever we're reading Bunpro lessons, right, like grammar lessons, I will check with wanikani and then connect them. It is? Okay. I thought they might have used a different character because there are multiple characters for this. There's also the especially gotoni. There are two characters. It's the same? No. I know, but okay. Drama. Like, we're not using confirmation bias. There's another gotoni. There are two. I'm pretty sure. Hold up. Oh, wait. No. That's toku. No. Yeah. It's not the same. There are two of them. So in level 59, there's or level 57 or something like that, 57 or 58, there's another one. So it is the same, the first one for this. So much like, again, the stuff that you and I don't meet eye to eye most of the time, I'm not looking specifically just for confirmation bias. There's also encompassing, like overlapping stuff. So that kotoni, not gotoni, but kotoni is related to gotoni. And then the go and the ko are like gorai and kurai situation. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. But yes, I imagine this is in wanikani. But my thought was I was trying to think of others as well. Anyways, like betsu. Betsu can be related to like betsuni. Betsuni would be something that could produce the opposite. Like, I would consider it as grouped as an opposite in opposing to gotoni. So, which is not particularly. Yeah. That's what we'll do. Mock, just to illustrate. That's what I would do. Most of the time when I'm reading this stuff, like, I will think about wanikani. So like kanji, do I know any more things? Like, occasionally I would read these things and I would remind myself, it's like, okay, what are other reads of this? Also pretty niche word or structures. Yep. So the idea is to know all of it, or try to use as much, right, as much knowledge as possible. I don't think I will ever go away from doing like practical things. I think practical things are very limited in scope. So like dekiru is a interesting one from wanikani perspective, because dekiru can be represented this way, or it can be represented dekiru. And Bunpro, I'm not sure Bunpro makes a comment. Oh, I can't click on this. I'm not sure if Bunpro makes a comment on the distinctive choices when dekiru shows up in a part of the sentence in kana or kanji. So that's kind of the, and dake would be something that would be in addition to wanikani because of the grammar point. And you don't have dake. And I'm not sure what the root kanji of dake is, which I would probably try to do in a way of using character studies. You think it's the same for kudasai or dake? Oh, or are you talking about the kanji read thing? Yeah, kudasai. Yep, that's a good example. I'm not sure if there's a root character for dake. That's a good question. And this stuff is pretty interesting to me. So we'll consistently practice character studies, regardless of what the grammar point is. That's what I was doing last time, by the way, when I was looking for an explanation for what was I doing? Oh, for naide versus nakute. So I was thinking about na, and I was thinking about the character na. The original kanji root for dake is, oh, intriguing. Interesting. Huh. That's a neat character for dake. Dake no yeah. They're saying it's coming from that. Interesting. Neat. Anyways, and then these things we would use wanikani, and then this would be the Bunpro part. So it'll be fun to do that. And then vocabulary is very similar. In Bunpro, vocabulary is presented as it's like I'm gonna just say recognized form. Like they decide on their recognized form that they want to present. And then the idea is every time I do a vocab, we'll be doing a wanikani study. You googled it Japanese, so you copied and pasted the response in Japanese. Okay, it says the original kanji root for dake is that character. That's what the Japanese, at least that's what I think. Yeah, the original hondai no kanji, and then the root I'm guessing is root. Rutsu wa dake desu. Yeah. You're able to read it? Yeah, I know. I'm just reading it again. I mean, I'm reading your messages. I'm not entirely sure it has anything to do with whether you're able to read it or not. Okay. Anyways. I guess you were explaining to me why it was in Japanese. That's interesting that when you Google it, it gave you a Japanese response. Did you type the Google in English or in Japanese? Okay. All right.
できるだけ一周ごとに漢字を20字覚えたい。
Half? Oh, you typed in half. Oh, I see. That's interesting why I would prefer.
できるだけ一周ごとに漢字を20字覚えたい。
That this is a particular, like each for every each. What was the structure? It was number counter. Yeah, number counter, and then using the goto as opposed to the mai. Goto ni. Although honestly, here's my commentary. Like I'm obviously joking, but I'm jesting. It's like, just use mai. You know, mai ni. I'm kidding. What would happen if they did use mai ni there? How could it be confused? Like, This is probably what I'm asking myself most of the time on Bunpro, like the fun questions. The fun question is, why not use the read maini as opposed to goto ni? Here, how can it be confused for something else if they used maini as opposed to goto ni? Generally, mai precedes a counter or a number, like a counter. So since this doesn't precede a counter, it follows a counter. Perhaps they decided that that is how you can tell when and where the read happens. Because this specific one deals with following a verb or noun. Oh, it's not even counter base. You don't even need a counter base thing. There is another entry for the counter number base thing. So this follows, and then when my is being used as a prefix, it becomes mai as opposed to goto. I don't think I can think of any example where goto preceded a noun or a verb or a counter or a number of any sort. It's interesting. It's neat. Why did they choose goto? That's a different story. Like, why? Fun times. Oh, by the way, the reason I jest is because this is what people think. This is how I feel. That's how many evaluate. I think Bunpro, whoever wrote this is reflecting on like maybe a micro commentary on what it's like to study Japanese. Memorizing 20 kanji each week. That is about the pace I think people regulate for that is the pace of wanikani. It's about half of 30 to 40 kanji initially, and then it starts expanding to like 30 as the front load near the end for one go. Yeah, 20 each week. It's hard to fathom. A year and a half ago, that is the starting point. Memorizing 20, like, when someone starts Japanese, this is probably on the low end. The most, I can make a commentary on these. I love reading sentences and stuff because I have a commentary on pretty much most of these things. You're doing 20 a month? Yeah, like, I don't think you have to rush it so much. Here, listen, dramas, hear me out. The most common number, if you're asking me, like, okay, so we're gonna go from 0 and 100. This is deliberate. I'm gonna say 200 per week. Where do you think, like, I don't know what your experience is when you're reading and stuff, but for me, I decide to read and then people told me their expectations a lot. Where do you think someone who has 0 kanji so far, what they think learning kanji per week is when they start? Where do you think it lands, like, statistically, like, more likely to happen? Because it's pretty wild online, the people I met. You have a very reasonable number, 20 a month. Like, I think that's incredibly allows you great due diligence for it. 10 a week? You would think rational people would say 10 a week. 70 a week. Oh no, that's not written in proportions. 70 is like here. 70. It would go anywhere between 100 I'm trying to draw it to proportional. 100 to 50 a week. Like this is the average that I have experienced. People think that they would do 10 kanji a day. Like it's crazy to me that is the expectation. Like maybe one kanji a day is what I would start with. And I've been asked multiple times about this, where someone says like, oh, so I just downloaded a deck, what do you think is a good rate to learn kanji? I'm like, start with 1. And then they would ask me how many kanji per day. They didn't start with per week. So I would say start with 1. Maybe they're only learning meanings. I don't know what they're learning. I don't follow, like the people who ask, I have no idea whether they're learning whatever it is. It's pretty wild. And so I know where the number's coming from, like the whole like 10 or 7 per day. A lot of people just learn the meanings. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Sure. I can see that. I'm now more referring to the psychology in understanding how the unit of memory, right? The unit of memory is. So oftentimes things come in tens. And that's where the 50 and the 100 comes from. So it's anywhere from 7 to 10, because from 50 to 100 is assuming like a 7 to 10 ratio. The 50 thing is whenever someone like rolls a bit lower. Pretty interesting. Like obviously my response is start with 1 and then find out, right? My inclination is that if they start 1 a day, it may be obvious, possibly, or aware they can find out and tune that. Honestly though, if I were to take a wager, if I were to like think about what I need to do if I were mentoring this person, I would get them to reevaluate their pace at the end of each week. Right? And at the end of each week, there'll be a pop quiz. Right? And then you would go again. And then the pop quiz is not to evaluate their performance. That's not the same. It's more their maintenance. Like, can they do it again? Like 7 again. So that's kind of how it goes. And usually when I wager, after a month's time, there would have been ups and downs that lead to that would indicate to me that there must be a reduction, or it would indicate a reduction in volume. You think reasonably if only learning meaning to learn recognition? I mean, fair enough. I'm not talking about the nature in unless mock is, you're responding to mock actually. When I was in Yokohama, this lady who showed us around, that she went through 2K kanji in a single summer, and yeah, I immediately knew the tour would be bad. Sadly, no one knows exactly how fluent she was. Oh gosh, 2,000 kanji in a single summer. I mean, again, I think what drama says is more likely the case. I would say, perhaps. And that is what I did. I'm more likely to lean on what drama said, because of those people who thought of like 10 kanji a day, maybe I would say I've encountered 20. I would roughly say 3 of them I would be able to see what happened after a month, right? Or more. And when I go and ask them something, they would specifically tell me what the meaning is. So the strongest aspect is the meaning, and the meaning isn't communicated in English. Not that they only spoke English. I don't actually know if they only spoke English. They had to explain to me something, and it was through the meaning in English. So, so that provides weight to probably what Drama said. The idea is when they say they're doing 10 kanji per day, they're talking about 10 kanji translation meanings a day. Right? I have no inclination. You think it makes sense in Japanese particularly? Yeah. It's since we are playing the guessing game anyway. Yeah. That's the interest, right? That's the interest. I have more converging evidence. I have more converging evidence to suggest that your conjecture is correct than anything else. Now, hear me out. There's also the likelihood that they have a failure to recall despite doing the task. So like what I mean is their intent was to read the script, understand the script, do character studies. However, the time that they given themselves only transitioned into the lowest resistant part of their study, which is the translational meaning. So like they found that there was the most exposure, and this is where I follow, where if they ask me what are they doing in their kanji studies, they say they're doing the meaning, right? The characters, and a sentence. Sure. Like, it's not for me to decide what they're going to do. They tell me they're going to do these 3 things, right? And then I would ask them, can you tell me something about this? Tell me something about this. Tell me something about this. And tell me something about this. And if those things, I asked them if they're satisfied with it, like check, then that would imply that it's sustainable for the time being. So I'm not talking about their performance. Like, I'm not specifically evaluating their performance. I'm trying to see if they are reaching a sustainable quality that they themselves were, because they're self-studying. All the cases that I have been given, or like privileged time, they're in a self-studying phase of whatever they're doing. So if they say it's reaching satisfactory, then it's sustainable. If they say like, oh, well, I'm not satisfied with my character or my sentence, but the meanings are good, that means oftentimes there might be a volume problem. So then we work on asking, so maybe we should redistribute your time. So like redistributing time means that you can encourage the person to say, well, meaning you can do maybe 10 kanji per day. However, how do you feel about staggering these things? Because you would have to come up with a routine to stagger the character and the sentences if you're going to do that stuff. The reason why this is important for me, like when you're saying, how do you self-evaluate yourself on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis? Well, every time you're progressing forward and there's a consistent weak link or bottleneck, this is the reason you're going to quit. Not this. This is likely going to help you keep going. But there are more red sustainable flags in your routine and you're going to quit. So to go back to this whole 20 kanji a day, that's the thought process. This is the thought process of how I would get from one day to infinity, to the day I die. Not, oh, okay, so we just keep going with the whole thing. And if you constantly confirmation bias your way through something, sometimes most people quit and get grindy, but ignore it by saying there are more good things than bad things. And usually most of it can be telltale sign for you to have places of improvement. You can slow the meaning down and use the meaning to access the characters and sentences, if that's what you're trying to do. Some though, like I think drama, you have clarity where you're like, okay, well, I'm going to do this task and you're going to evaluate based on that task, and that's perfectly fine. That would not slow you down. Like if someone said, I'm just going to remember 10 kanji meaning per day and it keeps checking the boxes, then you won't stop. When someone tells me after a month and says, oh yeah, kanji's going well, except, and then they list a bunch of other things. And I'm like, so how long have that been happening? Oh, well, every single day. And I'm like, after a week, you didn't do anything about it? Like, do you not want to do anything about it? That, to me, is the, lack of awareness that, in my opinion, it's kind of like, driving a car with a leaky gas tank. You keep filling the gas tank, but it keeps leaking more and more. Everything goes well except reading. So that's kind of what I mean by, I'm not here to dictate whether you are efficient or not. I most of the time the thing that I offer, at least I feel like people find it interesting to hear, I focus on their sustainability. Are you meeting your goals? Because if you're gonna self-study, you have to have an incentive to do these things. Otherwise, you're gonna use words like grind, disappointment, treading in place. You're getting good at something, but there's this nagging suspicion that there's something worse happening at the same time. Wanigani is a grind. It's not a grind. For me, personally. I guess you're saying you think Wanikani is a grind, and you probably am correct, and more people would agree with you. Wanikani was nowhere near a grind, and I'm still, I'm 5 days from level 60. It's not even close to a grind. Largely because all my metrics are kept in line, at least in my opinion. In fact, Wanikani is so much not a grind that I'm doing it deliberately in Bunpro. Like this, I use Wanikani in Bunpro, so that's well, if I'm good enough to understand my own habits, right? And then this is what I'm sharing. Habits are often a product, habits are often a product of your awareness and your vibes and serendipity. So, oh, thanks. I don't know who that is. Oh. When? Possibly Vietnamese. Anyways, habits are a product of your awareness. So one day, I would love to be able to have enough experiences. Yeah, possibly, right? When possibly be able to share this in a more constructive way, where you say something like this part, I'm on this one sentence right now, and it is really interesting because some people would say, well, this sentence isn't interesting. It's just a sentence. It's a sentence that teaches me this. And this part is English. Like, well, I remember this phrase because I have something to talk about. Like, that's in my opinion. And then someone would say, well, you're wasting time on a single sentence. It's getting crowded here. Like, like, this sentence is disinteresting. It's a basic sentence. Why would you be interested in it? That's kind of how I remember it. Tipping point. I can give you a 5-minute spiel on people, Mark. So on people, we have an average of 100-ish. It's a pretty good round number, 100 per year. Spiel, yes, 100 per year. And of the 100, I would say 95% of them, so 95 of them would be a hello and never see again. 3 of them would be a ask a question and maybe hear the response, maybe. So they are like the 10 minute. I talked about the 5 to 10 minute thing. This would be the 30-second thing. And then 2 of them, usually we get the 3-hour spiel. It just jumps up to the 3-hour spiel. And then these people, I might know them for about half a year. And then I won't hear from them for like ever, for a while. And then there might be like a 3-year follow-up. And that's kind of the nature of it. So, and they don't arrive all at the same time. So you can just imagine 7 years, there might be like 14 people you might see from time to time. And then it'll be like catching up. Because what about the somewhat regulars? They're still in the 6-month period. So the somewhat regulars are for a 6-month period. So eventually, I like to think that they're off doing, like, in my imagination, because I will never know until if and when they come back. I like to keep in my mind like they're off really busy doing things, doing great things, and one day they'll come back and says, hey, look at this cool thing that I did. I made this. Someone did come back recently. Yeah. So based on Discord, oh yeah, those are all the people. Like those Discord people are just there. Yeah. So who's the longest? Like who's the longest? There are rare. So like we still have the 0.01%. However, they're the exception, not the rule. So the 0.01%, there are 5 that have known me for more than 3 years. Yeah, known me for 3 years. There are 2 that have known me for more than 7 years. And then there are a couple names in the Discord. They never say anything. They don't ever say anything. And in IRL and they're my actual best friends, like before all of this, we still don't say anything to each other, by the way. They knew me for more than 20 years. There are a couple. I'm gonna say in the Discord there are 3. There are 3 that knew me for more than 20 years. There is 2 people who I don't talk to anymore that knows me for more than 10 years. Or they knew me for 10 years, but I haven't heard from them in many years. Fujin wasn't built in a day or something. So right now we have turnovers. However, as the number goes up, like the years go up, this is my 8th year on Twitch, I think. My 8th year on Twitch. And it's between 2 and 3 years on YouTube, right? Eventually this number will change because now we get to test how many of those people return in their third year. Usually though, the regulars, they rotate. So the regulars you may see, which drama is within the 6-month period. soon to test that theory. Protocol is, so I know the names of the current rotating people. So drama, Protocol, Subhun, Fictitious is always around, but Fictitious is an anomaly. He's 0.01%. These are the current, and then now Mock, you're starting your timer. Test. So right now, this is, and then Mika, right? Mika, Churn, probably the most prominent. Pretty prominent. I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting one or two. Lotus is the one that is greater than is now have rotated out. So there are a bunch of people that rotate out. Sing Sing has rotated out. Yeah, Sing is in the more than approaching the 6-month cycle, where now I maybe see her like one every month or two. So to me personally, you might be saying, oh, but why don't be regular? I think this is like super healthy. I think one of the wonderful things about people is that you should have distance and focus on things. Like Sing Bree is past the one, so now it's like maybe every holiday sometimes, or a special occasion, which by the way, today is Father's Day in the United States. I'm not sure if it's a national thing or an international thing, but happy Father's Day. I hope everyone gets a chance to. The reason why I know is my father would prepare a lobster. It's a red creature, auspicious, and health-wise it's a culture, like a neo-Chinese thing, I suppose. He prepares lobster on holidays, so today is Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to everyone. Or if it's still the same day, because it's already probably past midnight for drama. So happy yesterday's Father's Day. Oh, it's probably past midnight for both of you now that I think about it. Mock and drama, you guys are in the same time zone, I suppose, or maybe one off by 1 hour. You just scroll up on your Twitch chat history and it almost crashed your PC. So we do have a bunch of people, Mock. I hope I get to introduce them. Oh, another person is Danny. Danny is still in the rotation. These are all of these people. Han is the newest, and all of these other people are matriculating past the 6-month period. So now I'm expecting, like drama, I expect to talk to drama maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 weeks, and that to me is great. Like that is my metric. It's my barometer, where you don't try to be, some are more active on Discord. Yeah, Danny is more active on Discord. He's the young guy that is trying to make a family cartoon. He's the guy that is sharing some of his process making the family cartoon that he aspires to release one day. Oh no, that's typically how it works, Mock. You're doing, you could even call it a self-selection. Quite literally 90% or more of the people, the only reason they join Discord is to just start yapping. Like the whole intent of joining Discord was to yap about the topic that was introduced. So I think, feel free to say hi to peeps. I'm not sure how many people. The cartoon thing sounds so cool. Yo, check it out. I'm looking forward to. So a thing about Danny. Let me tell you about Danny. Danny has a brother who was part of a documentary that dealt with immigration in the United States. And his brother and his family, but his younger brother was one of the people in it, and his brother is pursuing that type of outreach thing in a political space. So I watched that documentary and it was fantastic. It was your second gen 1.5 and second gen 1.5 second gen kind of story that's involved. Danny is on the Mexicano side, so the Spanish related, Latina side of things, and I usually follow a lot of Asian American related things. So that's kind of how we connected. And then while his younger brother is off doing outreach and whatnot, Danny wants to make a family cartoon based on his experience. So his family cartoon is going to revolve around themes that deal with his early childhood with immigration and the situation, but projected in a more wholesome way. So that's kind of the thing. Mika is British, and she is on the process of graduating from high school to get into a university, right? Chern recently graduated. He's Malaysian, Malay Chinese, or Chinese Malay. I don't know how the order is. And he recently graduated, and now he's off starting his university life. Obviously, we're still getting to know each other. Subhan, it recently graduated as well. I want to say Subhan was Indian, but I might be a little off then. He is doing interior design, and he recently updated his portfolio to be submitted to prospective places, university, basically. And he's currently in the process of doing interviews. Yeah, there's so many youngsters. Prokal is in his mid-20s, or not mid-20s, early 20s. Like, he's 23-ish, I think, around Drama's age. And he is currently in a AI computer science program, and he's a year or two out of graduating. And of course, Drama, first out the door, went to work, thinking about practicing Japanese, learning Japanese, and then moving to Japan, possibly go to Japanese university, right? And I can't wait to discuss stuff. He visited Japan multiple times already over the time that we known each other. Drama has visited Japan again in the Osaka area. So these are the things I tried. Lotus nonchalantly works for a billionaire. He works for a company, and he stopped by recently and said that he's working on a peer-to-peer social media app. That he does coding. He has a long history of learning Japanese. He recently visited Taiwan. So the 2 times he met was he visited Taiwan and China, and then came back and informed me also about his social. So I look forward to seeing what he's going to do in his social media. Xing Xing is a transplant. She is in a relationship with a Vietnamese person, and they both live in Australia. Oh, and Drama technically also working for a billionaire. Xing Xing recently got her visa stuff rolling along because she recently moved to Australia. She came from Netherlands? Yeah, she came from Netherlands, and she has extended family in Vietnam. So that's pretty neat. Bree is American. She shared a lot about her current struggles, relationships, and whatnot. And recently, though, from the time that I knew her, she got a job. She was able to land a job. It sounds like she's consistently have the job, and there are perks. Although there's still like the company, the loneliness thing that we talk about quite a bit. She likes genealogy and she really likes French. So she studies a lot of French. And I was thinking around this time maybe we can entertain the idea of French when I'm working on my Spanish thing. So these are some of the people that I know off the top of my head. And I try my best to keep like the tethers together. And what does everyone on here have in common? Every single person on here is multiculturally interested. Like nearly every single one of these people, including you guys, have some sort of background in multicultural interest. And that is the name of the game. So the ones that stick around are mostly the ones that are interested in multiculturalism. The conversations we have typically bridge different cultures. That's kind of the idea. I can name a couple more, but we'll save that for another time. I really do genuinely love collecting people's stories. Now, I was being very general here because I think I don't want to spill the beans on most of the people. They actually shared a lot publicly. And maybe in the future I can use like AI and stuff to sift through the videos, but we spoke way more in depth before. Like the breathing, Procol and I had we talked about the origin of the universe and all that jazz, like geopolitical things. So, however, it is those people that I want to represent. I want to share at least a little bit, get an idea of who's actually around. Okay, so if you climb the corporate ladder far enough, billionaire con. Okay, Griff. I am the guy who asked Amazon on the job fair if I'll have to pee in a Who's schizo for the corporate ladder, huh? Me too. Yeah, no worries. Always with the reviews. Make sure to spend more time. You don't obviously no obligations, right? No obligations. Definitely no obligations for having to like spend a specific amount of time. I think what I really would love one day, the idea is to bring people together. Because one day, if you do in fact want to make a cartoon, who knows? One of the people that I know, we could put people together. I think one of my favorite parts about academia is collaboration. So all the debates that me and Drama have all the time, like we do have a substantial number of debates. Generally, the idea is whether it's in debate or whatever our motivations are, observing other people makes the opportunity you can bring them together. So academia is kind of the idea. The whole idea of peer review, scientific inquiry is to bring people together. So like if you want to help people out, you bring them together. That's like when I hear someone does art, for example, like if you tell me you like art, let me tell you about 2 or 3 people that have shared artwork with me, because I want to see the magic happen. I want to see people get together. I think nowadays it's a very lonely obstacle, in my opinion. Some people, again, you can cherry pick people who can thrive on the lone wolf perspective, aspire to be Elon Musk or something like that. Most of the time though, my entire history was built on the support and of the people around me, like people taking chances, right? People take chances on me all my life. I said this before, the luckiest part of my life was the privilege to have people supporting me the entire way. So it sounds more like an Asian thing. Generally speaking, I did not build my own career, but if you ask an American, some chances are they would say the person did most of it. Oh, this is a docs, but you're like a current national academic debate champion. Oh, intriguing. Weird flex. I wonder if you can spin that around and hit different with the Gen Z spiel on the debate champion thing. No chance, no more losing. Don't to team up. The only way to win is being dumb. You always win. When I enter a debate or an argument, I always spin it around to being the idea that we are in it together. So most of the time, actually, I counter argue myself. So if you want to win, tell me your story. There will be no debate or argument ever when someone tells me their story, because it's undebatable. Like what I mean is, if someone is telling me a story about how they feel and their opinions and whatnot, I wouldn't ever choose that debate. We would never argue on that one. So I guess being dumb can be part of that perspective. Usually though maybe it's more so that I end up being my own critic. He's maxing again. He's maxing. Maxing is such a funny suffix. You know what's funny about maxing? Maxing is I'm not sure if you guys was old enough for this, but it reminds me of edge or idge. Funny enough, the one guy, 101 human guy, he made a recent, or at least on the algo, it gave me a thing about this thing, which is off French. He was making a comment on French endings, and one of the French endings is using the gerund ending, ing. So like shooting, age what? So no, it's age. So like shootage, off like things like garbage. But there was an age during my time, I guess, when I was like in my teens. This was used as a suffix, and it was I don't know what the linguistic name for it was, but it was a normalization. It created a normalization of English words. So 101 human, by the way, I prepped this. This is what I was going to talk about today. I told Drama this, but Mock, I prepare a short story for every single stream. So regardless of what we talk about, it will eventually come back to the topic I prepared. So normalization. So the doom scrolling that I did, he talked about French, how French used the ing over time as a normalization technique. I forgot what the particular linguistic word that he said. So oftentimes, like you have like coating or shooting in a sense. However, it's not the gerund, it's the activity, the thing that it's happening. So they use this as a way to mark English words. So now they take English words and they add ing to make it into a French borrowed English word. And one of the techniques is like adding itch. So now back to your thing, adding maxing to things is kind of funny because it reminds me of that. So back in when I was when I was younger, I suppose, like speedage or awesomeage, like a greatage, like you just add itch to the end to make it's the essence of that. Or ish, there's also ish, right? Like fastish, slowish, and now maxing is one of them. like looks maxing, cooks maxing, bean maxing, peace maxing. That's kind of the nominalization funny thing. It comes full circle. I was thinking about it earlier, and yes, it's no coincidence that I'm talking about it now, because you gotta keep rolling with the stories. Anyways, nominalization, fun stuff. And I'm using the term nominalization now because we'll relate it back to grammar and Bunpro and stuff. I haven't ever used the term nominalization before in grammar, and in order for me to normalize the use of the new age, whatever terms like auxiliary verbs, right? Auxiliary verbs, conjunctive, adjectives, conditional commands, or the conditional imperative. What else did I pick up from Bunpro? A conjunctive, like a conjunctive adjective. That's not something that I would say in English, like an adjective that is conjunctive. What adjectives are conjunctive? Think of it like, because the adjectives can have a conjunctive form. And what are others? Causative and passive. Causative and passive I haven't used in the context of English, despite knowing what it means. Like, those are great words. So now in the future, when I speak about English, I would also use analogous terms for, like, oh, that's like passive. Like, I'm now typically defining English phrases with the implication of transition or transitive, right? Transitive and intransitive relations with the passive voice. So that stuff is so cool now, because when I was first learning grammar, as an English person, like an English speaking person, there was only English. There was only the use case for the grammar terminology existed simply for English. Now I have two other reasons. And if you're wondering, but what about Chinese? Chinese doesn't have these things. The absence of those things, despite me knowing the concept that they exist, I would look for those concepts even in the absence of it. So when someone says like, oh, English doesn't pay attention to transitive or intransitive verbs because the verbs themselves may not necessarily be transitive or intransitive in its syntax. And I'm like, that's great. But what about finding in like a facsimile of transitive and intransitive patterns in English? That's interesting. And that's why I typically I get like feeds from 101 Human and the etymology guy, the etymology nerd, right? Because effectively they mirror that passion. What they do is they take an observation and they try to create a narrative out of it, and then they rigorously test that narrative to modify their they rigorously test that narrative to acquire more observations to refine their existing narrative. That's kind of what I'm doing. So whenever we enter an argument, right, like debate, Mock being a very good debater, right, and drama, he and I debate a lot. The idea is that's how I would form comfortable defense positions or counter arguments to my own arguments. So oftentimes when someone wants to debate with me and they feel like they're under attack, which sometimes I do come off as overwhelming, I would defend them, because the strongest argument to your debate would also know all the counter arguments to your existing argument. So not only do I engage in that, I engage in that on a personal basis. I do that on my own. The strength of my position and narrative is to understand all of my opponents, as much of my opponents as possible. So when I enter a debate with someone, I will also defend the person arguing against me, because that is the most impressive thing in scientific inquiry. Confuse your enemy by becoming your enemy. Well, remember what I've never read Art of War, right? I've never read of Art of War, but maybe one day we can read it in Chinese together. Anyways, I've never read Art of War, but there was this extrapolation or generalization. Know your enemy, right? Know your enemy situation, and then ... You can fill in the blanks, but generally the idiom or the word of wisdom has like permutated into different things. Know your enemy, know thy enemy, and you can bolster your own position, especially in the art of debate, which is a figurative war that people have. Polish, German, alt-right in one sentence. So that's what I mean. I want people to know how to defend their position as well. So I would be rooting for my opponent. The stronger my opponent is, the stronger I become. And when we're talking about debates, we're not talking about, like, I'm not a politician, like a geopolitician or something like that. So we're not here to eliminate each other. We're here to make each other stronger, right? So if you're going to push really hard, I will push really hard. And if you don't push hard enough, I want to encourage you to push harder or something like that, right? To inspire your argument. So whenever someone relents or still wants to talk, but they feel like I'm overwhelming them, I would then switch sides. I would then bolster their argument by explaining, at least in my terms, that I can confirm that their point of view exists. And here are all of the other point of views that I have encountered that would support their argument. And these are the things that I have considered when making an action. That was the argument that the debate that we had about the spam, right? The Discord spam. And all of the comments, like all of the reasoning that drama has, I've heard before, and then some. So I want to also support that the stance that I make is also taking into consideration their point of view. And then I could further by giving an example that would be my worst opponent, right? Like, so that's kind of the idea. And then also, for example, yesterday we had, or this morning, Ryan is largely Ryan Gosling, which is a really funny user handle. He's almost, my interaction with him is almost Discord exclusive, right? And he occasionally chimes in with things. That's what I did this morning too. While I presented my position about what I could do and doing some digging and cursory thing, I eventually settled on, if I wanted to achieve what that other person is suggesting, maybe I could do it this way and that way. So the idea is eventually all of the ideas will be represented as a consideration. And if the ideas are all represented, it would also mean that my opponent can have a chance to introduce something of their own and novelty that they can build on top of it. Then it would benefit me, right? We would benefit each other. You don't censor and overwhelm your opponent with brutal emotional weight. You try to elevate them to see if you can test the strength of your own position. That's the idea of bout competition. People talk about the United States when they talk about capitalism and whatnot, like competition breeds strong, resilience and innovation. That's assuming you're in a competitive environment. Most of the time, right, we won't go into the details, but I'll say this: anti-competitive practices is not the same as competing. So if you completely squelch and diminish your opponent, it's a lose-lose to me personally, because I have no like, if you squash your opponent, you never know if your position is good or not, like if it's rigorous or not. It's like scientific inquiry. You could say your research is the best by pretending there's no opposing research, or you can eliminate your opponents on the merit of something else entirely unrelated to the merit of your own research. Typically, peer review would invite your harshest critic in order to make sure that you don't get bopped in the future too. So for me, the stronger my company is, the more like intellectually inclined, the more successful my colleagues are, the more successful I may become. So no, I don't think drama is worse at debating than me. I hope that all of us become great debaters because we benefit from colloquial chatting. So if someone is very socially anxious, my goal is to make them less socially anxious so we can benefit from each other. And, you know, oftentimes it becomes self-deprecating, the people who are socially anxious. They would say something like, oh, I'm too anxious, I can't be of any help, or I can't do a lot of things. I was like, let's work on that, because you never know. One day you would be the source of strength, right? That's kind of the idea. You elevate your company. Your company is as strong when it's elevated. You don't want to be weak. Like, being strong when everyone's weak, that's not impressive. Being strong when everyone around you is strong, now that is a testament to your strength. Let's see. You not being a politician reminded me that there's this Japanese song, the lyrics being only, I'm not Shinzo Abe. I don't even know what you're referring to, but it sounds endearing. Oh yeah, you're dropping the socialist stuff because there's no negativity. Yeah. I see. Gotta have someone critiquing my stuff at some point. Exactly. Or at least for me, that's what I grew up with. Academic inquiry. It really is a win-win. Off topic, SpaceX launching a rocket in 6 minutes. Oh, really? Oh, never mind. It's just a highlight, you think? Oh, a live stream. Oh, interesting. Hats off to SpaceX, right? I don't know. Okay. Not investment advice. I'll let you know. I do keep track of markets. So if there are any billionaires or millionaires out there, hope you dipped in a little bit of SpaceX on that bump. I don't know what's going on the rest, but it's kind of fun watching, like, an IPO go, like, get launched and whatnot, stuff like that. Shinzo Abe is like one of the most influential Japanese politicians. Oh, prime minister for 10 years. Died in an assassination. Oh, that's unfortunate. They launched it May 21st. Oh. I had no idea. Whenever that was. Yeah. I need to get cultured in Japanese, like, things. And reading about politicians might be an interesting way to get some use case for both my Chinese and my Japanese, like character reading thing. So perhaps whenever that happens. But yeah, I'm poorly politically inclined. Like, not even. I'm politically inept for the most part. We had our Dogen debate, right? The Dogen chair was pretty interesting about the two or three different aspects of immigration, also like secret marital, like lineage related things, and the undertone of foreigner relations, and then the representative class of Japan. Yes. And I learned quite a lot more from our discussion way back. So now I know, like, the difference between, like, the democratic libertarian, like the Democratic Liberal Party, as opposed to the like the Socialist Party and whatnot that is and Communist Party and representation that exists and whatnot. So I've started piecing some names to the groups in Japan, which is really where it started, the Dogen thing, by coincidence. There's this whole term called Abenomics to describe his policies. Interesting. Hang on. I will make a note about this. And I'll come back to you on that one. Interesting. Wow. Coin term for him, huh? Oh. Is he like a Hamilton? Yeah. He's like a Hamilton. Alexander Hamilton. Interesting. Shinzo Abe. I'm not sure if you... I don't know if that's too much of an Americanized example. But Alexander Hamilton was the, like... You could make an argument he was like the construction person behind like the Bank of America. So like the infrastructure of the treasury in that sense, like the impact of his policies. And this person had very strong integration in economic reform. Oh yeah, Dogen. Yeah, Drama is talking about Dogen. He made a video on the Japanese situation, the misunderstanding of the immigration policies. Yeah, interesting. It's kind of humorous that you say Hamilton. Oh, mandatory in high school. You think that, and yet I'm glad to hear that it's common knowledge to you, Mak. Like, because sometimes I'm not so sure anymore with the current generation. Drama, were you familiar with Alexander Hamilton? Because to this day, even for Americans, I can't tell you how many times I hear like, oh, he must be a president. And I'm like, no, he's not a president. And it's like, well, then I don't know what he did. Like, okay. The reason... Oh yeah, and the musical, that's right. Oh yeah, that's right. The musical helped quite a bit, actually. What's his name? Oh, what's his name? What's the Latina? What's the... man. What's the guy's name? The writer? Lin-Manuel? Yeah, Lin-Manuel. Yeah, Lin-Manuel. What's his first name? Oh, no, that's his first name. Miranda. That's it. Miranda was his last name. Yeah, the Hamilton play. That's right. Hear me out. That doesn't come to mind still. Like, I did watch the recording. I've never been to Broadway to watch the actual thing, but I did watch a recording, like a special play recording of Hamilton, and it still doesn't come to mind that Hamilton exists about Alexander Hamilton. Obviously, it's a little bit... They took some liberties. Maybe he's covered in school, but wasn't the most interesting most interested student back then. Yeah, me too. Most of my to give you a quick 5-minute spiel. I know, quick. Maku being quick. 5-minute spiel. I learned modern empire. I took a class, like a elective, and it was on founding fathers. So that's where I have a big bias towards the founding fathers. So, less George Washington, it's more so John Adams, the relationship between John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, and then part of the modern empire building segment with Alexander Hamilton and those who created like the modernization since the modern empire, right? And modern empire is dealing with the economics side of things, colonization, but more like the sequestering and acquisition of resources, right? The modern empires. And usually you get on the historical side of things, like in school, you get the war side of things, the like territorial side of things, like land purchases and like the Monroe Doctrine and the Manifest Destiny. That type of thing gets covered in school. Later down the road, though, when you go to college and stuff, sometimes you can take like obscure electives on underlying concepts that are far more nebulous, like money, the modern empire building with respect to money, deterrence, weapon deterrence, standing naval fleets, like things that aren't like soft power, basically. I'm not sure if this is a term that people use very often, but the idea of soft power, not the hard power, which I actually don't know what hard power is. Maybe it's like warring victories, like things that you can. Generally, soft power is what the modern empires are measured in, typically, like how much influence they have, and influence economically and whatnot. The intangible moving hands of the world, I suppose. You don't know, you think a move towards a people's history would be great in school curriculum? You mean like it would be kind of interesting what that would look like in a modern classroom. You could say that it could end up, right? It could end up on a school curriculum about like Mark Zuckerberg instead. Like, let's think about the like people's history for a moment, right? I'm old enough to know that there are people who grow up, their center figures in people's history is like Bezos, Zuckerberg, Musk, as opposed to, you know, Chiang Kai-shek, I don't know, Tokugawa, George Washington, the Dalai Lama, Gandhi, right? Like things like that. I feel like I'm not sure how interested kids are. Genghis Khan, yeah, Genghis Khan and his son Kublai Khan. That stuff interests me because of Age of Empires and all that other stuff. That used to be like the focal point of older people's history related stuff. Now it's like Kim Kardashian, Taylor Swift, I don't know, K-pop, like what's a K-pop group that we could use? Insert K-pop group. People of the world, right? People in history. Yeah, you meant more of a paradigm shift from stuff about war and elites. Oh, BTS. BTS is a good one. Blackpink, yes. That's good. Those are good ones. And then organizations like video game organizations, Nvidia, AMD, like corporations. So that would probably be like the people stuff, paradigm shifts now. Of course, knowledge about masses of people on the other end. Yeah, the idea is I do understand what you're trying to say, and the shift would be something that may interest youth, and usually youth is portrayed in social media now, typically. So what happens is then you have representations through either organizations or figureheads, and those figureheads represent those groups. So like people's people's thing to shift away from wars and elitism and whatnot would be things like I'm trying to think of Miku, Hatsune Miku. By the way, I'm only bringing up Hatsune Miku because we're going to be talking about Hatsune Miku in less than 3 days from now on the P5X anniversary. and Hatsune Miku is a Vocaloid, so like Miku isn't even like a person, like a literal person, but they represent people. So people culture and historical culture has kind of shifted dramatically to presentation in social media. Like, for example, it can happen both ways. Like a politician can also be a social media figure now. So, Trump, right? President Trump. The idea is that is the paradigm shift that I feel is occurring. Hatsune Miku is such a great case study. Yeah, I know, right? I didn't talk about for virtually anything, yeah. However, we're going to be talking about it in the sense of a business model in gacha games and maybe some like subcultural fandom in another 3 days or so. The first anniversary of P5X global server, a game that I play since the year, and they announced that their banner, the gacha banner that they have, is a collaboration, and it's Hatsune Miku. So there is a lot of psychology and stuff. You didn't know BTS could mean behind the scenes? Yeah, behind the scenes. Yep. People started using BTS for BTS and not, or like people had been using BTS for BTS, not for BTS. I deliberately said it in a really weird, facetious way. Actually, it took me a while to understand why lots of the things that I watched labeled BTS, I was being served BTS, the group, on top of it. So my discovery of BTS, like my familiarity largely from BTS, was because of BTS, not the band BTS. Like me interested in behind the scenes things, like Linus Tech Tips, like things, and like their float plane project and stuff, the back behind the scenes stuff like cinematography. And my familiarity became through the mere exposure to BTS, the K-pop group, as a consequence of ambiguous acronyms. It's a really good one. The contemporary part would have to incorporate what you mentioned. Yeah. I don't know what the most pop stuff about the Howard Zine on US, I guess. Howard Zine. I'm too uncultured to know who that is. BTS fans have been mad because people on Twitter use BTS for behind the scenes, not the K-pop group. Right? Case study. I'm catching up. Sorry. I have a habit of reading and reacting as I'm going, as opposed to reading everything first. Didn't know BTS can mean behind the scenes. This must be a group hallucination. There are only BTS, no scenes. Okay. With that said, though, I guess we can. Isn't it great? I keep this, for the record, I keep this on my screen all the time. This is where we started, by the way. I was gonna wrap it back to 20 kanji each week. Imagine BTS being in kanji, right? I feel like that's what acronyms are now in English. The closest thing I can feel about reading kanji, like if I had to internalize it and project it to someone else, right? What their feelings are about kanji, it would be like reading a Gen Z comment that uses entirely in abbreviated acronyms because what happens is you don't know what the reads are anymore. You hear me? Like, you feel me? Like, for example, BTS is a case study for condensed script. So if someone said BTS, you could read it as B, T, I don't know how to, S, but you could read it as behind the scene. I actually have no idea what BTS stands for in, like, the band. Like, does it stand for something? So it can stand for that too. And if we were to link it back, you know, I gotta bring it back to the original stuff. You could kind of see the same weird frustration mirrored in reading kanji. So whenever someone like says, oh yeah, I would never understand how hard or confusing or the feeling or the empathy for people who are studying kanji and they are struggling with reads and understanding, BTS. I will ask someone, what does BTS stand for? How are you going to read BTS? Because that is what a condensed characterization is. It's so dense. Oh, Bantan Songyongdan. Oh, interesting. What does that mean? Oh, is it like ban? No, I don't know. Bulletproof Boy Scouts. Okay. That's so good. I think your studies became less successful since you came. Oh, trust me. You're gonna have to take my word for it, Mak. I'll answer your forward question. My success of the stream is what we're doing now. I said the same thing to drama like a week, like the first week of interaction. I say this pretty much for every person. You don't have to worry about my like the success of my studies. The study is the interaction with the backdrop of it. So it's kind of a sorry, or some people would say as a euphemism, it's a sorry excuse to engage in conversation. And I would say the spiel where if I were to study, if my study success was predicated on completing this task, I would not stream. Because the most objective and logical way to do it is to remove yourself from the source of distraction. So, no worries. And yes, I do feel like I'm obligated to tell you, in no way are you obstructing or hindering my like plans or anything like that. This is what's worth. The most important, most worthwhile success is to cultivate this interaction. So much like our last couple of days, right? The last couple of days, I would drop most things because that's the idea. Nihon pilled Europeans worry about the same thing. Who would have guessed? Yeah. Like, I drop most things for other humans. There's no way. There's rarely ever a time I would quantify human life and human time on opportunity more than like some objective thing that you could do to make yourself feel better. Like, for example, if you think time is money, right? Situation where money circumvents someone else's time and your time, that's usually for someone else to debate about. For myself, it's priority number one. Privilege of people's time is almost unequivocal. And in order for one to really have a win-win situation, it is the commitment to each other, at least in my opinion. It is the welcoming and obligatory need to be committed to each other, regardless if it's a stranger or not, that would elevate the value of that time above things like money, right? Getting a shiny badge, doing something that you would spend 99% of your time doing anyways, but you're deciding to skip it for a rare chance encounter that could lead to a fruitful relationship with another person. So oftentimes when people tell me things like, I don't have any friends, I don't like making friends, why don't anyone like me, or why do people lie to each other? Usually that's within the microcosm of the environment that the person's making. I try to ascertain why do they think that, and I ask them, what do you do every day? Like, well, I play video games where I yell at people for sucking. And I'm like, I'm okay. Do you do anything else? You don't think time's money, but you have to go to sleep now. Thanks for hanging out. I imagine you and Drama. You want to hear a little secret? It's just between you and me. Don't tell Drama because he's like away. Secretly, I hang out with Europeans most of the time because eventually they're gonna have to go to sleep, and then I can get my work done. I'm kidding. I imagine you would have to go to sleep. So Drama has to go to sleep soon too. Actually, the vast majority of people, is by coincidence that they're European again. Sleeping is part of the program. Sleep, right? Sleep, do your work, and then we can reconvene at any time. I wouldn't hold a grudge for that. Yeah. All right. Thanks for chilling again, Mark. It's really a pleasure most of the day. Just wait till the World Cup ends. Oh, which, by the way, before you go, it looks like Mexico, the US, and Germany has plugged their way into the bracket now. We got 3 teams so far. I love seeing the bracket fill in. So we got 3 teams so far, and I don't know who's gonna be joining the ranks. Can't wait to the bracket stage. Anyways, sleep well. Thanks for keeping me company for a bit. You're the one Mexican one in your trio. I guess. Oh, you're in it for the I like rooting for the underdog. I'm a sucker for the underdog. So right now, out of Mexico, right, Mexico, Germany, and US, I probably root for the US, but not because I know anything about football. I like competition. I know that sounds like such a cliche, but I like friendly rival competition. I want all the teams to do well, right? When they do well, it's exciting. It is invigorating for the human spirit. So oftentimes when people get squelched by, like, I don't know, being an underdog, I like rooting for a good game, basically. So for now, of the 3, I would root for a good game. The US being elevated to bring the game on situation. Where's the Pledge of Allegiance before every stream? Rooting for the US. I did do that. In most of my life, there was a pledge. Yeah, we did a pledge to... That's a really big deep cut. We'll have to talk about it another time. Like, doing a pledge. I got more than that. I was a choir boy, too. And also, when I was growing up, I was in a mostly black African American school. We should talk about Martin Luther King as well, and the I have a dream speech, while being in Asian American, like the one Asian American, and I was responsible for reciting that. So, interesting things. There are quite a lot of deep cuts that we can go into about, like, American culture, for sure. And I would love to hear about the Polish side of things. Anyways, that's some little cookies, crumbs to talk about in the future. You gotta love academic exploration. All right. You almost ended up in the US for undergrad, so sorry about the banter. Right. Yeah, good night. Plenty of time, Mark. I'll try to stay alive. to keep our conversations going. Alright.
君は少しも太っていないのにダイエット頑張るの？
Oh, is that like... how does this work? Like small, but not. Like not a small amount, so quite a bit? Is that what? Not at all. Dang it, it's not at all. It's negative. Not even a little. Yeah, so not even. Oh no, it's not even. Try to stay alive? Yeah. That's usually what my comment is. Because I don't know when I'm gonna die, right? So that's my euphemism. My euphemism is I'm gonna try to stay alive for us to have as many conversations as possible. I legitimately say that in an ironic, like a not ironic but funny way. It's like my new catchphrase. I started to lean in on it. Every time someone says like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go move to Japan, move to Japan and like do great things, go to Tokyo University, I usually say like, I hope I stay healthy and alive to see you do great things. So yeah, now I've started nonchalantly just throwing it in. Like, well, have a great sleep, whenever we talk next, I look forward to trying to stay alive too. To be able to do that. Oh man, I am gonna be a really weird person when I get older. Like, I don't know where this is gonna go, but I can't even imagine what I'm gonna be like about this stuff when I'm 50 and 60. If I live till then. I genuinely feel like I'm going to be those awkward people who make everyone feel like awkward, like uncomfortable because I keep talking about my imminent death, like it's a euphemism. Like, don't worry about it. I think I got a few days in me. I'll keep it real. I'll keep it safe for another 10 days so we can continue to have conversations. But then after those 10 days, man, you never know. You wonder how old millennials are gonna be, or Gen Z? Yeah, me too. I'm curious, like the average, like will the average go up, or like will things happen? So far millennials, like the period we're talking about, the year period, I think it's still going up, right? It's still going up. Hear me out. I am curious really to want to live long enough to see how Gen Z and Gen Alpha turns out, because of various things that are becoming harder to help, or more nebulous things that are not part of like the quality of life, like mental health, right? Mental health is on a trajectory off a cliff right now. And oftentimes when you get older, when you're growing older, one of the faculties that are very difficult to ensure is the mental health, like transitioning between the years, because yes, medicine can get better, right? Like physical fitness, nutrition, sure, that's a thing that is really well practiced. There's a new thing facing Gen Z and Gen Alpha, which I talk about a lot. Digitalization really hurting their socializing. Yeah. So like, for example, this is a very morbid example, but people can die slowly, like in their quality of life, and due to digitalization, they can go unnoticed, completely unnoticed. Meanwhile, when you think of millennials, right, there's still the odds and ends probability that a millennial would have a network existing pre-digitalization that would track that. So you could say one of a contributing force that I'm keeping my eyes on, a contributing force, is how socially integrated people are as they're getting older. Because when you get older, you need to be socially integrated in order to have a longer, like a potential to remediate longer life. That's kind of like not wanting to go to the doctor. It's already tough. Like me, like for millennials, it's already getting tough to want to go to a doctor to get a second opinion. In Gen Z cases, they think they know more than doctors. Like, really honest, like think about that for a moment, right? When I ask someone like, oh, you have a problem, where do we go? Go seek a professional, a human professional. It's like, no, I can just read it online and then solve the problem myself. And my first thought is like, I don't think in the future you're gonna be able to give yourself an MRI scan. And I'm saying that because as a millennial, that's already going down. Like, millennials are pretty refractory to doing that already, and they are pre-digitalization. So it only goes further down as it's becoming. You're really glad we didn't have the tech we have now when you were younger. I'm so glad you have the tech now. Yeah, I'm glad I have the tech now, but I'm also glad that, like, for me, like, I feel like all the transitioning, having more options is great. Oh yeah, actually, you were looking at Chinese Douyin trends. Someone reporting on Chinese social media. Oh, interesting. There are people who report on Chinese social media? Huh. Intriguing. Right now, China, completely bizarre. Yeah, so right now, what is it? China, Australia. In terms of what we're talking about, in terms of what time, like social media, I have been very much curious about very specific countries, and China and Australia is definitely two of them. China, if like how all of that is working out, like when it comes to all the related topics like aging, the coverage itself, the use of social media, and then like the tech revolution, like the tech related things. They have professional fake hospitals doing beauty procedures without permits. Yeah. I believe Korea might have something to say about that historically. And when they get shut down, they just open up on the same place where the same docs, just different names. Ooh, that's an intriguing story. I'll have to read a little bit about that. That's interesting. We'll have to be a little bit discreet, you know. Allegedly. Right. Alright. Toshimo. Not a little, right? That's kind of where we're going with. Not even at all. Not even. You're risking your social credits sharing this. I think we'll be okay as long as allegedly. I wish for the best most of it. Like we want to raise awareness for the sake of benefiting all the little ones. That's kind of my spin most of the time. Raising awareness is a step towards being able to do something. Yeah, whether it's you or the people who are living with it, etc. Awareness is part of the equation. And then goodwills, right? Goodwill and tithings.
たける、飛行機代いくらかかった？あつし、意外と安くて往復で5万円だったよ。
this is about cost. I love some of these like people that they have. They really go for it. They go for the reading.
And
then you have the rapid fire. The rapid fire. なるべく I'm gonna send you a YouTuber that covers the trend if you want to look into it. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'm not sure if I'll get to it this evening, but I'll have something to watch. なるべく like to be to just as soon as possible to become possible as soon as possible. Yeah. Do a couple more and then gotta move to Hanzihiro and then play Dave the Diver.
トム・クルーズとかブラッド・ピットとかがかっこいいと思う。
A sequence or like a list of things, for example. Does this have, this is non-ordered. It's no particular order. Oh there, Xing Xing. Hello, hello. Speaking of Xing Xing, hello, how are you? Wait, which one was sequence? Hold up. Yeah, there are others. This was exhaustive, right? Oh no, they are both non-exhaustive. Where was the exhaustive? And then there was one about sequence. That isn't it. I'll have to come back to this. That's a resolution that I'm gonna need to figure out. Yeah, drama is here. Okay, I think that's good. We indulged in our yap, so yap is good. I do have to switch to Hanzihiro at some point. What is happening? That is a hang up. Okay. And then I gotta take a quick break, like a bathroom break. I actually need to go to the bathroom. Okay. After this. Alright, that's a wrap for our Bunpro session. We talked quite a lot about random things. It's pretty cool. Mach is really a new person. Oh, have we introduced? Oh no, haven't yet. I did see that Mach used their Twitch account to mark the channel, so there is a chance that we can introduce Xing Xing to Mach. We were just talking about everyone in general today, so the people that can remember details. Alright folks, that's a wrap for Mach is Polish. Yeah, Mach is Polish. Scholar. Looking for PhD at some point. So right. You gotta kill a bug real quick. Alright. So let's take a quick break here. End of Bunpro. I'll tell you more a little bit. End of Bunpro. If you're gonna watch this later, arigatou gozaimasu, right? As always, feel free to follow along, pick up Bunpro for yourself, give it a go. And of course, everyone is more than welcome to come on by and yap, share some topics, stories, change ideas, keep each other motivated. So until next time, 皆さんまたね。見てくれてありがとう. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time. I'm gonna take a quick bathroom break, walk around a little bit, and I'll be back for Hanzihiro and some more yap.